Imagine recording without a hat. Yeah, right. You kidding me? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a lovely one out there. Today we are diving full on into a long song Saturday, a full album listen. We got the Raincoats lined up with their debut titled album, self-titled album. The Raincoats, released 1979. Now, I've never heard of them before. I was gifted an album from them, so appreciate the gift, the physical album itself. And I love the album cover. I don't know what it is. There's just something about the album cover. Let me pull it up here so you guys can see. I mean, you'll see it soon enough, but bada bing, bada boom. There you go. There's something about the album cover I love. Just this little chorus line of children just singing in the accordion. I don't know exactly. I feel like this is an album cover that, like, you know, like they're all drawn the same with similar expressions. But like if you look into like this one, she's looking like over here, and he's looking over there. Like, well, I guess the girls are in the dresses, huh? Like, I don't know, they got different expressions. Anyways, we're listening to this album because it was suggested and recommended by, I believe, the following. It was hard to kind of figure out the names because I just had to type Raincoats into the search bar in my comments. Terry Stewart, Paul from Oregon, want to go to Oregon so bad. Kevin Coleman, Stunt Man, Croc McGinty, love the name. And if I remember correctly, it was you that gifted me the album, so thank you as well. I also believe that this had been suggested by Pierre Cholot. And there may be more, but that's at least who I see initially. So thank you guys so much for the recommendation. Like I said, even though, you know, I've heard of them, I suppose, because of the album I was gifted, I've never heard of them. You know what I mean? That should make sense. So anyways, this would be our first listen into the band. I'm excited to dive on into it. Hope that you guys are as well. I say this all the time, but I'm going to say it again. If you're here for a full album reaction, you know, I'm assuming that if you're new here, you've clicked on the video because you already know this album and you want to see how I react to it. That's what you're going to get. But what you're also going to get, just a casual listening. You know, we're going to chill, relax, sit back, enjoy the album. You know, yes, we dive into it and talk about it and stuff, but this is just casual. Relax. Just chill. Inhale, exhale. Forget about work. Forget about the stress of the day. This is a calm, easygoing album reaction. Just a time for two friends, perhaps more. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy some music. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Of course, you are more than welcome to support what I do over on Patreon. You do not have to. I also have a buy me a coffee where you can skip the queue with song requests and such. But for now, let's go ahead and dive on into the first track, which, by the way, the first track on Spotify is Fairy Tale in the Supermarket. The first track on Wikipedia is No Side to Fall In. Now, why the discrepancy? It's right here. Fairy Tale in the Supermarket was the Raincoats' first single and has been included as the opening track on all reissues of the album since '93. So we may as well just include it in this album reaction. So that's why we're going to start off with that. That's it. That's all I have to say. My friends, thank you as always so much for watching. This half cup of chicory, not a full cup, is to you. Fairy Tale in the Supermarket. Here we go. I love the drums. with the chorus, like in the album art. Big opening back to the verse. Well, time signature change. It changes to 6/8 there. That guitar tone is so discordant.
But don't worry, honey, don't worry. This is just a fairy tale happening in the supermarket.
See, that guitar tone is just screeching. Okay, so what we're getting with the band, at least based off of the first track, is, I don't want to say a punk sound, but they do have a punk-ish sound, at least in attitude, at least in the instrumental parts of things. I love that guitar tone. It is screeching. It sounds like frayed and discordant. It's just really, really good. I enjoy that a lot. On the guitar, playing that is going to be Ana da Silva, who's also handling one of the lead vocals as well, and keyboards apparently at some point in the album. And assuming that she's the lead singer here in this track, I like her singing, and whoever's harmonizing with her, it's once again like this punk energy where it's not sounding so incredibly polished and overproduced and, trying to, sound extremely pleasant, to the ear. Not in that grid. No, you're taking it as it is. And I like that kind of, just be normal kind of singing, basically, which I think works very well in this kind of music here. I love the drumming, especially in the break. That's going to be Palm Olive. I love that name. Palm Olive on the drums. I love how when the drums come in and everything else drops out, of course, besides some of the guitar lines staying in there, scratching it up. I like how that's when, you kind of get like a little bit more, not harmony, but a chorus from the other vocalist there. I'm assuming it's going to be Gina Birch, who's also playing bass on here, or Vicky Aspinall. Her name looks familiar. We'll look into that. But I like how they all come in, basically, during the chorus there, when the drums, during that section. It just feels very powerful. It feels really nice. And then at one point in the second verse, the time signature began to change, and this is, from someone who doesn't know everything. It went from like a 4/4 to a 3/4 is what it seemed like, or maybe it was a 6/8, same thing. It like changed, which I thought was really interesting, how the snare from the drummer Palm Olive kind of hinted towards that as she would play the snare and kind of this forewarning, I guess you could say, of that change in the time signature. That was really cool. Now, I'm curious. I'm looking at, of course, the personnel here, as you can see. Vicky Aspinall, her name just seems familiar. Now, looking at her Wikipedia, I don't see any, at least, mentions of, anything that she's played that I would recognize. She was a member of Jam Today, a part of women's music movement that developed in the 1970s, playing a hybrid of jazz and rock similar in approach to groups like Henry Cow. Okay, we've played a little bit of Henry Cow. I don't know. Her name just looks familiar. I'm not sure quite why. I'm not quite sure why. Let's look at these lyrics. I could have kept you right on the screen, couldn't I? All right, let's look at these. It makes no difference, night or day. No one teaches you how to live. Cups of tea are a clock. A clock, a clock. Cups of tea are a clock. Like tea time, cups of tea are a clock. By tea time, you can tell time. Not literally, but in a metaphorical way. Like it's something expected, so it's a clock because it happens every day kind of thing. The times I forgot but never forgot. I don't know the books that you read, but you don't say that love never externalizes. You're rereading a book to feel reassured by the life of your favorite hero. Don't worry, honey, don't worry. This is just a fairy tale happening in the supermarket. The roots of your thoughts, they're essentially Polaroidal. A lot of camera and, cameras holding a memory physically. When you get a picture back, of course, like a Polaroid. The books that you reread and read, like you're trying to capture a moment. I feel like a lot of this, I don't know exactly what's going on, but it feels like it's trying to capture a moment, at least in the theme. When you look at my picture, don't say it's your mirror. Don't say we're both paranoid. Tear me. Make me glad. Don't ask me anything. I'm no secret agent. Got no colors to give you. Don't worry, this is just a fairy tale happening in the supermarket. Like, this is just a moment in time. Enjoy it, but this is not going to last forever. This isn't going anywhere. This is just a moment. Maybe. If you allow me, let me click on some of these annotations. From Jen Pelly's book on the Raincoats, but this line was also culled from reality. At her squat, Gina found an unlikely ad hoc way of telling time. Like a sundial, she knew if her squat mate Simon had been home because the kettle would be warm. Okay. Ana da Silva was born and raised on the Portuguese island Madeira, so she has a completely different cultural background than the people of London. Okay. Let me, if you'll allow me, let me read a little bit about the album before we keep going. I don't want to miss something because of lack of context. As we mentioned, this was released in 1979 as one of the first records issued by the London-based independent label Rough Trade. The album is perhaps best known for its off-kilter cover of Lola by the Kinks. Okay, we'll get there. We mentioned about this track being added into the album. It's ranked number 398 in the Rolling Stones list of 500 greatest albums of all time. In 1979, all three of the four members were living in squats. Okay, Vicky Aspinall, Gina Birch, and where the band frequently rehearsed. The squatting culture, is that when you're just basically like walking, you find an empty place and you just live there? That's what that is, right? Yeah, okay, yeah, taking possession of land on an empty house. Okay, that they don't own. Okay, so they're just kind of hanging out in there, huh? Okay. The squatting culture informed the lifestyle and music of the band with an onus on improvisation and DIY. The band conveyed an egalitarian ethos in their early life performance. Each member was positioned to have equal vision prominence on the stage, and the band dressed in everyday punk fashion, no different from the ordinary street clothes of the audience members. Okay. I'm just trying to get a little insight into them before we keep going. Upon the recording of the album, musician and visual artist Mayo Thompson of the Red Crayola was joined by Jeff Travis to produce. Thompson suggested that Vicky Aspinall approach violin in the style of Velvet Underground player John Cale. When asked by Richie Unterberger about producing for the band, Thompson remarked, "It was one of those things. I came into Rough Trade one day and Jeff said, 'There's a band called the Raincoats. I want to make a record with them. I want you to go around and listen to a rehearsal and help them out and see if there's anything you can contribute.'" Okay. All right. Now we're getting a little context. I want a little bit more. Maybe we'll get there. Let's go ahead and dive into the next track, and then maybe we'll get some more of the context there. But now at least we have a context of the band, their surroundings, what was around them, their living conditions, and perhaps their mentality as they approach the music. Let's dive into the next song, which is technically the first track of the original album release, No Side to Fall On, or Fall In. Is that the violin, I guess? Even that has a very rough texture. I like the way that they sing with the bass and violin. Is that the violin? So you get I wonder what's making that sound.
I hear the music outside, and I am the music inside, to fall in the fall.
This is a delightfully weird song.
It's still my mind.
I like this. It's so innocently, charmingly weird.
Today.
Let me let it go to the next track. It was only a minute and so long. I like how rough the drums are produced.
Passionate shouts, red with anger, I lost myself. The well is a mystery. I went up and down like a demented train. Take it personal.
I love the bass playing.
Choose my own fate. Follow love, follow hate. Searching for something that makes hearts move. I found myself at my best possession. Walked into the shade, threatened to drift away. Take it personal.
The bass is singing with it.
Fate, I follow love, I follow hate. Full of myself, I left you behind as if I could. Just like Quixote's dream, went to fight dragons in a land of concrete. Take it personal, choose my own fate. I follow love, I follow hate. Don't take it personal, I choose my own fate. I follow love, I follow hate. Take it personal, I choose my own fate. I follow love, I follow hate.
So catchy too. Okay, these two tracks, the original first two tracks on the album, set a completely different pace than the first track did. No Sight to Fall In, and then Adventures Close to Home are just so delightfully quirky in their sound. The singing like this, like it's just so like it is actually really perfectly kind of capturing the album cover, especially with the way that they all sing with each other. The music has this very, of course now kind of underproduced raw kind of sound, which I'm loving how it comes through, because you actually get a sense that they're all recording in a room, like they're all recording together. It's not like, okay, you're recording one part here, you're recording one part all the way over here. Like you're all kind of together in this room. And the room, the studio that they're recording in, doesn't feel so fancy. It just, perhaps, maybe I'm perhaps influenced by reading about the squatter lifestyle that they were living at the time, but it feels, I guess, like we read, kind of DIY with just the production on it. I really, really love their singing together, and now they start on this side, and then the others, like, and how they go back and forth really nicely. They're all working together and harmonizing and just comparing and contrasting together very well when it comes vocally in the vocal department. I love Palmolive's drumming here. Once again, the toms making a really great effect, and hitting the side stick on the snare. Like the drumming, at least at these 2 points in these two songs, isn't like the first track with Fairy Tale. It's not just a straight rock groove or whatever. These are a little bit more creative in the sparseness and the space that they're creating here. The bass playing, I thought, is phenomenal, because the way that Gina is playing the bass, it moves very well with the vocal lines. It almost puts up the vocal lines to start their delivery. And the way that in some moments they would both kind of work up to each other, and then the bass would hold while vocals did their thing. It's just a really creative way of putting all the music together. And then there's that really high-pitched noise that I have no idea what it was. I'm going to assume that that may have been Silva playing something on the keyboard. I obviously could not tell you, but I'm assuming so. It wasn't an annoying sound. It was just a very interesting sound. And I just think that they're bringing a lot of different things in here together. Obviously, the violin that we heard from Aspinall in the very beginning, starting off the first track there, and it's incredibly scratchy, just as scratchy kind of as the guitar that we've been hearing. This is really interesting. And if the rest of the album follows in the same, scenery as these two tracks, it could be very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Let's look at the first track here, No Sight to Fall In. I hear the music outside and I am the music inside. No sight to fall in, no fall to live until my mind is still. My mind, my life. I don't mind today. I love the kind of wordplay that's happening in here. And I guess this perhaps brings to mind a feeling of not belonging. I hear the music outside. I am the music inside. And then she says, no side to fall in. Like, where do I fall in? In with myself or out with the others? I don't mind today. I hear the music outside. Okay, it repeats those lines as well. And then looking at the next track here, adventures close to home. Passion that shouts and red with anger. I lost myself. Through alleys of mysteries, I went up and down like a demented train. Don't take it personal. I choose my own fate. I follow love. I follow hate. Searching for something that makes heart move. I found myself. I like this. She's going her own journey. Good, bad, love, hate. She's taking her own journey and she's moving in her own life journey, right? I follow love. I follow hate. I follow whatever makes hearts move. And in searching for something, she says, I found myself. But my best possession walked into the shade and threatened to drift away. Whatever this best possession is, it walked into her life and it's threatened, or it's threatening to be lost. So that thing that she's been looking for, there may not be any sort of permanence to it. Full of myself, I left you behind, as if I could, possessed by Quixote's dream. Went to fight dragons in the land of concrete. Now, I really do need to read Don Juan's Quixote, but I haven't. I know he fights a windmill at one point, but isn't he like, don't quote me because I really do not know much about it. Isn't he basically kind of delusional and he's like going off in this adventure where he thinks it's like a fanciful or fantasy kind of adventure of knights and such, but it's really not. He's just kind of fighting windmills. Don't take it personal. I choose my own fate. Let's read this real quick. She quotes Palmolive talking about her inspiration for this line. In Don Quixote, he's totally altruistic. He reads books and thinks he's going to save the world. He goes out, he sees monsters and windmills, and he tries to straighten things. Sometimes they don't need to be straightened. He makes it worse every time. Growing up, we wanted to make the world better. I had a very strong sense from conversations in the kitchen with my brothers and sisters about how to fight injustice in families or in society. I was seeing myself in London. It's a different situation, but in essence, it's this crazy dream of wanting to make the world better and dealing with the emotions, which one day tell me this and then that. One day I want to love, one day I want to hate. I was following this Don Quixote dream, somehow saying it gives it shape. It helped me grow. That actually makes this come together a lot more. That makes a lot of sense with reading the lyrics. This dream and this journey that she was taking, and in a sense relating herself to Don Quixote. I like that. I like the writing and the comparison there. Let's go and move on to the next track, which is going to be Off Duty Trip. Here we go. Isn't that an interesting setup?
Just a couple in the park, pounding out those games in the dark. Those who walk past the
Great
streets are
drumming.
only reminded of love's dreams. A scaffold violin is all can only prove the strength of his charms.
That's a great group.
Tender, loving when fighting through.
Join the professionals. Join the professionals. Join the professionals. Join the professionals. The professionals.
It's a cool chorus.
Yes, they're really strangers in the night. All the same to me if you put up a fight. It's not just a kiss you owed me. With all this ammunition loaded, I bought you a drink and well, we're walking hand in hand.
It just scatters.
Woman, you're pinned up on the
Love that
wall in
pre-chorus.
front of you. A soldier's life is very tough. Needs tender loving
then it gets
when
big.
fighting through.
Save the professional. The professional. Save the professional. The professional. Save the professional. The professional.
Keeps going. This is a very art rock kind of sound.
Seaside town, off-duty trip, taking flesh, going to let it rip, with rings on his
You
fingers.
gotta concentrate on that drum.
Sharp like the taste that still lingers, flavor of this month's sentence friend. 57 pastry varieties in his head. Woman, you're pinned up on the wall in front of you. A soldier's life is very tough. Needs tender loving when fighting through.
Join the professional. The professional. Join the professional. The professional. Join the professional. The professional.
The structure in this track is so unique. And if it's not unique, the way that they play it comes across as so unique. Throughout the verse, before it gets into the chorus, it plays very like sporadic. The bass, the guitar, and the drums, right? And the bass and the guitar, they kind of follow this kind of scattered lead. Right? They follow that. Of course, the drum does as well. And then it plays in that. I love how the singing kind of just hops on that specific little lily pad, like a frog just hopping on that lily pad, right? And then as it moves through its different parts into like the pre-chorus, it gives us a little beat. The drum, boom, boom, boom. Palm Olive puts palm down, right? And like it just gives us a little bit more. But the production, as well as the way they play, has this sounding like a very thin sounding kind of sound and song. And it's not until they get into the chorus where it opens up, the crashes come in, all their voices come in harmonized, and the guitar holds its notes just a little bit longer. That's when that full sound comes in. So I like how throughout the verse they give us the thinness, and you're like, I want more. And then they serve you up a nice platter, and you got a nice cheeseburger in front of you with that chorus. It's just a really interesting way that they play with the structure. And I keep on focusing on Palm Olive just because, drummer, it's like where my mind goes towards. I have a bias towards that. But I really have to acknowledge that the guitars and the bass are really doing the same thing. And I still think that the bass lines are very, very interesting in the way they're playing. Can I tell you? I'm not saying the music sounds like what I'm going to mention, but perhaps the thought process and approach in the music is relatable to an extent. I feel like to an extent, this reminds me in some ways of Discipline from King Crimson, their best album. Because I think that Blue and Fripp's approach in that album is reminding me in a way of how Silva and Birch are approaching the guitar and bass respectively on this album so far, in that it has this kind of, sporadic, sharp inclination and delivery, not leaving, or rather leaving a lot of space and holding off, not a lot of sustained notes, just very punctual and punchy. And I think that sounds really awesome. And I love how that's used in contrast to the chorus when that comes in and how big that feels and how it opens up everything. Just a couple in the park pounding out those games in the dark. No idea what that means.
Oh my.
My soundboard?
Oh my,
it's not
my.
playing? Can you guys hear it? Oh, I accidentally muted my... How did I accidentally mute my sound? What the heck? What button did I press? My sound just muted. I'm sorry.
Oh my.
Okay, you guys probably could have heard that. Well,
Oh my. Oh my, my, my.
playing it again. Those who walk past her screams are only reminded of love's young dreams. A scuffle violating arms can only prove the strength of his charms. Woman, you're pinned up on the wall in front of you. A soldier's life is very tough and needs tender loving when fighting's through. Join the professionals. Yes, they're really strangers in the night. Oh, they're saying to me, if you put up a fight, it's not just a kiss you owe me. It's all this ammunition loaded. I bought you a drink, and well, we're walking hand in hand. Well, it seems like it's going well. It goes on again. Sit fresh seaside town, off-duty trip, taking flesh, going to let it rip. With rings on his finger. Okay, well, it sounds like it's not a great... Okay, so maybe some cheating going on. Sharp like the taste that still lingers. Flavor of this month, center spread. 57 page 3 varieties in his head. Woman, you're pinned up against the wall. A soldier's life remains tender with all the fighting's going through. Okay. I mean, it sounds like they're happen. Hold on. I see the annotation. As Simon Reynolds writes in Rip It Up and Start Again, Off-Duty Trip is about a notorious rape trial of the day, in which the perpetrator was treated leniently by a judge to avoid damaging his military career. I take back everything I just said and that soundboard. Okay. Completely different. 57 page 3 varieties. Page 3 used to be a feature in British tabloid newspaper The Sun, which were large pictures of topless models printed on the third page of the print edition. 57 varieties is also a reference to Heinz ketchup. No idea what the ketchup meaning there is. Okay, so this is about a rape, a sexual assault. Okay. Completely off. So okay, you're pinned up on the wall. Okay, a soldier's life is needs tender loving when fighting's through. So in context with this, you can almost say that this is what the judge is like saying, like, life is very tough. He needs tender loving when the fighting's through. What? Obviously, way completely wrong. Was it about a specific case? A notorious rape trial of the day. Was it about a specific trial? Let's take a look. Let's see if we can do some research here. Immediately, I'm not seeing anything right away. Just a lot of, the lyrics for this particular track. I don't see anything specifically and immediately. Off-duty trip. No, I don't see anything specific. So, I would assume that you probably find out which one it's specifically about or what the trial and everything is, but I don't see anything specific here. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Rick Steves, someone's posting on, there's a Rick Steves Europe forum? I love Rick Steves. Oh, they're literally talking about Raincoats. I didn't know that Rick Steves had a forum. There's probably a Rick Steves subreddit. Do you guys think there's a Rick Steves subreddit? I'm sorry. I know we're there's not a Rick Steves subreddit. They absolutely should have one. Okay, I apologize. Let's move on into the next track, which is Black and White. Here we go. Is that vocals or? Is that a synth? Just at the highest notes?
Is it love when I see your face on the rails? Is it love when I see your face on the rails?
hide your dogs because they probably do not like that sound.
Is it love when I feel you talking to me?
So
Is it love when I feel you talking to me? And this girlfriend was just a lonely which turns into a black and white song.
the drum is so like impactful. This is kind of psychedelic. This sound.
Is it love when I don't know who you are?
Choppy guitar.
Is it love when I don't know who you are? I have to look out the window to write this black and white song.
Okay, so I'm dumb. By the end, it was obvious, but I do see here that that's Laura Logic on the saxophone here. And when it first came in, though, listen, you gotta admit, if I didn't see that on the personnel list, that the first notes from it, where it's just high pitched squeaking, stepping on a mouse, and he's crying his last death throes, it didn't sound like saxophone. It just. That's exactly what it sounded like, and you know it's true. don't try to tell me different. By the very end, you could clearly tell it was saxophone. But before that, I wasn't quite sure if that was a vocal line or if that was a synth line. Because there, I mean, you could argue like, doesn't it almost sounded like that. I'm trying to find something. I'll find it. Anyways, I think that the saxophone and the pitch of it definitely was the feature of this song. Definitely was that was like the most interesting thing in here. I didn't care for just how high pitched the sound was. Like I mentioned, it sounded like it could scare dogs and cats away, and it was a little bit too piercing. I'm just talking on a literal level, not even like the music. Is just the sound of it just was a little bit piercing for me, and I didn't love that sound. I liked it at the end when it was, kind of playing a little bit lower for just a brief moment. Besides that, the rest of the song is good. Like the rest of it is what I expect. The drumming, the little chunky guitar in there, the way it's singing. It all sounds like what I would expect of the band at this point. I didn't love the saxophone. There. I gotta tell you, it kind of reminded me a little bit of this. I'm not playing the whole thing. It's so good. It's so My wife texted me. Hold on one moment. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. Just okay. Sorry, I had to text. Gotta text my wife back. Let's move on into the next track. Oh, I should look at the lyrics, huh? I'm so sorry. Is it love when I see your face on the rails? When the black and white landscape makes me write this black and white song? Is it love when I fear you talking to me? Is it love when I fear you talking to me? And discover it was just a longing turned into a black and white song. I like this. Is it love when I don't know who you are? That ain't love. And have to look out the window to write this black and white song. I like that. This black and white song. It's not gray. It's either this or it's either that. So it's either love or ... What can you say? Now, let's move on to the next track. I'm sorry for the cowboy thing. I'm not sorry. Your life is better for it. Lola, here we go. Gotta sneeze.
I met her in a club down in Old Soho where they drink champagne and it tastes just like cherry cola. C-O-L-A cola.
I'm already loving it.
She walked up to me and she asked me to dance. I asked her her name and in a dark brown voice she said Lola. L-O-L-A Lola.
Like how the bass came through
La
there.
la 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 Lola.
I'm not the world's most physical guy, but when she squeezed me tight, she almost broke my spine. Oh, my Lola, la 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 Lola. I'm not dumb, but I can't understand why she walks like a woman and talks like a man. Oh, my Lola, la 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 Lola, la 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 Lola.
I like that super guitar coming in.
Champagne and danced all night under electric candlelight. She picked me up and set me on her knee and said, "Little boy, won't you come on with me?" I'm not the world's most passionate guy, but when I looked in her eyes, well, I almost fell for my Lola. La 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 Lola, la 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 Lola. Lola,
guitar on the side. That was a great cover. That was like, I love how, yes, you're still getting that, you know, the production from them, that kind of little punk energy in their sound, but it comes through very smoothly in a track like this. I can definitely understand why this is probably their most popular song. Like, looking at the streams on this album, this is clearly in the lead with 13 million streams, and the next one, Fairy Tale, would be 2 million. So just to give you a little bit of context, and I can definitely see why. It's approachable, it's a cover of a much loved, much known song, and it still gives you insight into the band themselves, who they are, and how they play. I love the drumming in here. I love the guitar lines. I think they come together wonderfully on here. I'm curious, excuse me, what made them choose this song to cover? Let me see. I'm just looking through really quickly just to see if I can find out. I'm always curious when a band covers a track, what makes them cover that track? Is it because, you know, they were influenced by that artist and so they wanted to pay homage to it or to that person? You know, I'm always curious as to why, but at least on initial looking, I don't see specifically. All I see is post-punk band. Raincoats recorded their version for this album, obviously. Apparently, it was also recorded by Duran Duran and Power Station member Andy Taylor and released as a lead single from his album. Madness, never heard of him, also did it. Okay, that's nice, but I want to know, like, why did they choose this song? No idea. It's a good song to choose. I'm just curious. I always like to look into the writing of a band and what influenced them to make this song or influenced them with that, but I cannot find anything, at least. The lyrics, we already know this song. I met her in a club down in Old Soho where you drink champagne and it tastes like Coca-Cola. She walked up to me and asked me to dance. I asked her name, and the microphone just went down. And it's loose. It's like falling. What the heck? All right. I asked her her name, and in a dark brown voice, she said, Lola. I'm not the world's most physical guy, but when she squeezed me tight, she almost broke my spine. Oh, my Lola. Well, I'm not dumb, but I can't understand why she walks like a woman and talks like a man. Well, you got the old switcheroo. Well, we drank champagne and danced all night under electric candlelight. She picked me up and sat me on her knee. I love that. I love the... She picked him up, sat him on her knee, and she said, little boy, won't you come home with me? He's like, Mommy. Well, I'm not the world's most passionate guy, but when I looked in her eyes, well, I almost fell for my Lola. I pushed her away. I walked to the door. I fell to the floor. I went down on my knees. Then I looked at her, and she at me. That's the way that I want it to stay, and I always want it to be that way for my Lola. Girls would be boys, and boys would be girls. It's a mixed up, muddled up, shook up world, except for Lola. Well, I left home just a week before, and I never kissed a woman before. Lola smiled and took me by the hand. She said, little boy, I'm going to make you a man. Well, I'm not the most masculine man, but I know what I am, and I'm glad I'm a man. And so is Lola. There you go. So, listen. You got a little switcheroo. Doesn't seem like he was angry about it. And said, hey, listen.
Oh, my.
Good for you, man.
Oh, my.
Good for you. Let's go ahead and move on into the next track here, which is going to be starting off the second side of the album. And that's going to be The Void. Let us enter the call of the void. Answer the call of the void. This somber tone, bass and violin take. Fitting for a track called The Void. This almost gives like a slight Joy Division sound. What's the bass doing there? swings right back to this very sobering sound. How Vicky plays music. I like how off the bass is playing in this realm. Right there. This is a song that's driven by Vicky and Birch. The bass and the guitar. Bass and violin. And I love that very sobering, somber approach that they take in this track, especially as it opens the second side. It moves things into a kind of different direction, like a darker and more shadowy direction. And then the way that the singing happens over top of it, the movement of it all, definitely to me, this track feels the closest to like a Joy Division-esque kind of approach and track and a movement. And even though there's that pop-up tense of energy in the middle of this track where, of course, it becomes a little bit more to what we've, assumingly heard from before, it definitely moves in a much more languid kind of fashion. And I really enjoy that change of pace at this point. It kind of feels like this track would be better as an ending to the first side rather than the beginning to a second. But that's just me being very, very nitpicky. I just like the way that it completely changes the energy. And I think it's interesting how Birch plays the bass on this one, especially at the end of each of the melodic lines and the beep, 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 beep. Well, she's high, so beep, 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 beep. Like she kind of scatteredly plays like a couple notes here and there. It's just kind of interesting. I just thought that it stood out really interestingly. But I love the way that she sings here. It almost does call us into this void. It really brings us down into this hole, which I think once again is just a nice change of pace from the previous tracks here. When I look at the streets and when they look at me, when I look at the streets and when they look at me, the void. When I try to think, the void. When I try to think. So she's obviously observing and she feels like she's being observed or watched back. So there's a slight sense, maybe not of paranoia, as that may be too strong, but a sense of, watch what I do, watch what I say, because the streets are also watching me. And then she says, when I try to think, she feels, the void, this void in her. The void could only stop being when I, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, nil, like nothing, 0. When I look at the streets and when you were talking, when I try to think. I feel like she's saying a lot with a little, and I like that. The only way I can get out of this void is when and she's prepping herself, she's counting down, but then she counts up. Like she's not quite ready to get out of that void. Or she maybe doesn't have whatever strength, mentally, physically, whatever is happening, whatever this void represents, she doesn't have that metaphorical remedy for it. And then she says nil, nothing. So perhaps she can't. But a void is also something that is empty. So the void is nil and she has nothing to get out of it. So is she really in a void? I don't know. There's a way you can think about it, right? And then when I looked at the streets, here's the change. And when you were talking. So perhaps the issue is this other person, this second party involved here, whoever or whatever that may be or represents. Next track, sliding on in, Life on the Line. Here we go. Excuse me. That is creepy violent.
A feeling of being followed, a feeling of being watched.
There's your paranoia.
Isn't easy to define, so I won't trouble you. She put her life on the line. She kept trying to find a place to hide, somewhere inside, somewhere where the
They're playing
air
with
was
that.
hot and her blood could rush, but she could not, but she could not, but she could not, but she could not.
This little pocket right here is really nice. Guitar.
Her logic was too tangled, I couldn't untangle it. How can silence or expression stop or start her or anyone? She kept trying to find a place to hide, somewhere inside, somewhere.
The violin almost gets a fiddle
where
side
the
to it.
air was hot and her blood could rush, but she could not, but she could not, but she could not, but she could not.
I love that.
She's got her back to the wall. Some are gone, but we're still here. This train is arriving. Steel wheels. Steel wheels. Oh, she wants to feel. She kept trying to find a place to hide, somewhere inside, somewhere where the air was hot and her blood could rush, but she could not, 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 but she could not,
Very
but she could not, but she could not, but she could not.
God, I love the way she plays that. It's hard right there. I think that this song is so cool in the way that that tempo continuously, like a train pulling into a station and then a train pulling out of the station, it slows down to a halt and then it speeds back up as all the passengers are getting on. The passengers here being the music, the rest of the musicians. I really think that that's a cool, interesting aspect, like the way that it continuously does that. My favorite part of the track, though, is that pocket when De Silva is playing guitar, and it almost gives it to me like this almost folkish kind of sound. And especially with the way the violin is being played here, with the way that she's playing it, it kind of gives it to me like this fiddle-esque kind of sound, which makes me think of like folk music. And then the way that De Silva's playing and picking that guitar specifically in that pocket, I'll see if I can find it, just makes me think of like folk music and something like that. I was already there. This. Every time it comes back to that part or a section like that, that's my favorite part of this track. I think that is so enjoyable. I wish there was more of that because it was such a cool groove on the drums, the bass line, all of that providing a nice foundation. And then De Silva's guitar, bum, 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 bum. Just like that fun picking, just kind of ticking around in there. It just checks a lot of boxes for me, and I think that that's sensational. But like I said, around that, you have that fun slow down and then the speed back up. Which always leads back to that, which I think is fun. And then the ending is just this little monotonous, in a way, kind of quick climax there. The lyrics on this one: a feeling of being followed, a feeling of being watched, isn't easy to define, so I won't trouble you. She put her life on the line. She kept trying to find a place to hide somewhere inside, somewhere where the air was hot and her blood could rush, but she could not. Her logic was too tangled. I couldn't untangle it. How can silence or expression stop or start here for anyone? So she's trying to hide, trying to get out of there, but for whatever reason, she cannot hide. And this is a second person because our protagonist, from our point of view, says, I couldn't untangle it. Speaking of this other person, their logic was too tangled. She's got her back to the wall. Some are gone, but we're still here. This train is arriving, steel wheels she wants to feel. She kept trying to find a place to hide somewhere inside, but she could not. So she put her life on the line in whatever aspect or respect that means, which I'm unsure of. But obviously she's trying to hide or run away from something, couldn't find any shelter. She couldn't be untangled even with other people helping. And that was it. But she could not. Whatever once again, that means. I have no idea, but didn't seem like it was the good ending for her. Next track, You're a Million. A million what? Are you feeling like $1 million? We'll find out. Here we go. You're a Million. Ramp up. See how it's so scattered? The way it is.
Stop here!
She said it.
This is for you as my love that was for nobody, as the rain that didn't wet you, and the sun that didn't warm you.
Like how the violin gives this mysterious aura.
Stop here!
I like how she calls
This
that
for
out.
you don't
This is fourth wall
need
break.
to pay, because it didn't cost me anything. Stop here and go away. Take your time with you. I haven't got time for you. My feelings were killed by loss. The walls that surrounded my city.
Quick face.
Stop here! This is for you as my love that was for nobody. You're a
the tone of this track reminds me a lot of a desert. It just feels like it's like this hot, arid, kind of mysterious landscape. The way that the bass and the violin play here are a lot, well, let me take out the bass for a second. The way that the violin and the guitar play here seems to be a lot more, not ambient, but there's definitely a little bit more of an atmosphere that's being played with here. The notes are held much longer and sustained for longer periods of time, and they just kind of sit there. And the actual mood of it all feels very dusty to me. There's kind of like, I don't know what it is. There's just this very colorful desert, Mojave Desert kind of like sound of it all to me. And I really, really like that. That middle speed up part where it just got a little faster for a moment, I wish that wasn't there. Because I love the atmosphere that was happening so much before. I just wish that it didn't completely change tempo, even for a relatively brief period of time. It just kind of took me out of the mood that I loved being in previously. I also love the way that she's singing over it. Like, I think like after some of the fun, sporadic kind of energy tracks that we've gotten before, which I've loved, I think it's cool when we get a different side. And it's like we completely changed to a different shade, a different color in the music. And I was getting that a lot here until it got into like the middle speed up section. Right? Like that was fine. No, not that. Not that. This. You know, the way that, you know, it would build up into fast sections and then she would yell, "Stop it." I thought that was cool. And then it would come right back down. I thought that was kind of like the tea kettle is whistling and then pop it open, stop it, and then it's done. And then you let it air out, turn off the heat, close it again, and the verse would build up, and then you do the whole thing over again. I thought that was good. I really enjoyed that. And the song kind of feels like, in some ways, a fourth wall break to an extent. Stop here. This is for you. See, I read this as us, but it goes on. As my love, that was for nobody. As the rain that didn't wet you, and the sun that didn't warm you. Stop here. This is for you. You don't need to pay because it didn't cost me anything. Stop here and go away. Take your time with you. I haven't the time for you. My feelings were fueled by yours. The walls that surrounded my city. Stop here. This is for you. As my love, that was for nobody. You're a million and I've loved you. And I'm yours. You're a million. I'm not yours. Like, I feel like, you know, she's had a brief relationship with someone. And she's basically saying, listen, it was fun. Had a good time together. We're done. I was for you. I'm not for you. I was yours. I'm not yours. You're a million, and there'll be a million more. Just thank you for the time. Let's move on. That's how I read that. Let's move on into the next track, which is going to be In Love. Here we go. This kind of has like a 60s, 70s energy.
I can't do a thing today. I can't see anyway. I haven't eaten all day.
A snack. Interesting vocalizations here. It almost sounded Seal-esque.
I can't listen to what you say. I can't understand you anyway.
I love the flurry of
I
violin there.
haven't spoken all day.
That.
Feeling good, feeling bad.
they're all kind of doing it like this. I like how the guitar was pushing up the violin right there. There's your two-stepper. They're always having fun just switching the tempos and stuff. They don't care. I should then. I like how this track is bringing back some of that quirky sound that I was hearing from before the first opening tracks. It sounds good. I love the way that the guitar pushes up with its riff, that violin, which once again has a little bit more of an atmospheric sound compared to some of their, quickness and other sounds that we were having before from the violin with overly creakiness, which sounds cool for what it is in the previous tracks, but I like to hear a little smoothness once in a while. I like that. I think it sounds really good. I love when they all come in during the chorus and they're all singing together. But speaking of the chorus, I'd be remiss if I didn't. I don't know if I'm going to find the exact right thing, so you'll have to, hear me out. But would you agree with me that in the chorus, that they kind of have a sound that's kind of like this? You cannot tell me that in the chorus. I'm not making fun of them. It's just I couldn't help but hear that they were it just reminded me of seals. What's a group of seals called? What's a group of seals called? You're learning something new today. A group of seals is called a herd or a pod. There you go. You learned something. Let's look at these lyrics. I can't do a thing today I can't see anyway. I haven't eaten all day. In love is so tough on my emotion. like being in love is so tough. I can't do anything I can't see. I haven't eaten all day. I can't listen to what you say. I can't understand you anyway. Haven't spoken all day. In love is so tough on my emotion. Feeling good, feeling bad, feeling happy, feeling sad. I'm so happy, happy, sad. In love is so tough on my emotion. I don't need your feelings. I do what I want. It's like she's feeling love, but she's also kind of resistant to it. Like, it's so tough on my emotion. It's messing me up. And then I don't need your feelings. I do what I want. Like, she's lashing out. She's resisting the bite of the love bug. Let's move on into the final track of the album, which is going to be No Looking. Sunset.
From his pocket he lit cigarette with his matches and he blew smoke rings with the smoke without looking at me, without talking to me.
trips into this rhythm. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen, the Raincoats debut album, complete album reaction. Check off, finish, and done, and enjoyed. I love the I'm not looking, I'm not talking, I'm not looking, I'm not. I love that entire chant. And okay, this is kind of off of this. Have you guys heard of Otoboke Beaver? Really, I won't say popular, but a big band, big all-female punk band, right? That reminded me of like what they're doing. And I wonder if Otoboke Beaver have been influenced by the Raincoats, because their Beaver is much harder, but I'm wondering if like there's influence here. Anyways, with this track, like I said, I love the violin once again in this one, and that certain shade that it's playing here. It really does have a sunset kind of feel. And obviously that makes sense, it being the last song on the album. But it does feel like this kind of, okay, this is the exhale of the album, and we're kind of winding down, and even the colors of the music are very sunsetty and just like, just fading from oranges, purples, and a little bit of red into the purple and the black and the blue, I really like how it does that and how it comes down. The drumming is once again fun. There's still some little bits of energy that punch out there, but overall it's a nice conclusion to the album that just kind of brings it down. But I love that I'm not looking, I'm not talking. I love when it kept going back and forth between that. I will say I enjoyed that greatly. He put sugar in his coffee. He stirred coffee with a teaspoon. He poured milk in his sweetened coffee. He lifted the cup to his lips. He drank coffee till it was empty. He put cup back into saucer without looking at me. He took cigarette from his packet. He lit cigarette with his matches, and he blew smoke rings with the smoke without looking at me. He put his hat onto his head. He put raincoat, there it is, because it was raining, and oh, he did have no umbrella. He left in the rain without looking at me, without talking to me. Silently, no looking, talking to no one else, leaving me without looking, leaving without leaving. Looking at me without leaving. That's an interesting line. Silently without looking, you leaving me, leaving me. I'm not looking, I'm not talking. I'm not looking, I'm not talking. So the question is, who is this person? I'm going to scroll down to see what that annotation said. But it could be about a romantic relationship, but whoever this person is has completely ignored her. Could be something deeper. Let's dive in. The song is an adaptation of the poem Breakfast by Jacques Prévert. I definitely thought that said pervert. A French poet and screenwriter. The poem's tone is rife with nihilism, disillusionment, and a sense of estrangement marked by the fact that it was written in 1946, 1 year after the end of World War II. Where Prévert's poem ends with the narrator in tears, the Raincoats adaptation dives deeper into the psyche of the narrator, spurning concrete description in favor of a chaotic chant that evokes a sense of whirlwind anxiety. If you don't mind, if you'll indulge me, I wasn't trying to find the original poem, fine as that is. I actually was just looking to do a Google search on it. There we go. Analysis, sure. I'm just curious. I'm not going to read everything. I'm just kind of curious about it. But I understand the, disillusionments, that's brought up here. The estrangements was a perfect word here. Throughout the first part of the poem, the speaker describes his actions. They are mostly concerned about putting coffee in the cup. These very mundane things, but there's obviously a bigger problem between these two people. Finally, the speaker refers to himself towards the middle of the poem. They use the pronoun me, revealing very little about themselves. The man they've been focusing on doesn't talk to them. He empties his cup without any word to me. This phrase is repeated. The second part of the poem, the speaker focuses on the man smoking, getting his hat, walking out into the rain. So, I mean, obviously this song mentions the Raincoat, and it's the end of their first album. Do you think that this is the song that like is most important to the band because of the Raincoat, and he's walking out into the rain without a raincoat? To another observer, they wouldn't be. This thing keeps on moving. I don't know why. They are moved by what the man does, and especially by the fact he leaves without. It keeps moving, and he look at me. The end of the poem may come as a surprise. The speaker cries out with their head in their hands, and over the way this person acted towards them. Not looking at me, not looking at me. So I wonder who it's about. Perhaps on one hand, we'll never know exactly who it's about. And perhaps that's the beauty and the mystery of it all. I enjoyed this album. It was definitely like a very unique flavor in this post-punk kind of sound. I think that they sound completely unique unto themselves. Favorites? Oh, I could have kept you guys here. Favorite songs? I really liked Off Duty Trip and Adventures Close to Home. I would definitely put these two in my favorite songs, with No Side to Fall In on my third. I really like Adventures Close to Home, though. I wonder if you'll indulge me one more time. I would just like to really quickly see if there's a live version of this, like any live footage. And I will be upset if it's like blocked or something like that, because then I'm not planning on editing this video. And I would not. I'm just looking for live footage. Close to Home. What is this live? Let's see. I'm just looking at the preview really quick just to see. And no, that's going to be still image. No live, huh? Okay. 2012. I'll take it. They're still doing their thing, or at least they were. They're still doing it. They still have it. Those vocals, multi-part harmonies and vocals. That's cool. I don't want to watch the whole thing just in case. I typically with like handheld footage, I don't usually have any issues, but let me not say it, right? Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching and for being here, spending some time with me. You've spent an hour and 27 minutes with me, and I hope that it was an hour and 27 minutes well spent. Probably an hour 28 by the end of the credits and everything like that. Anyways, if you haven't already, you're more than welcome and practically invited to press the like button before you head out. Subscribe if you haven't. If you're interested in doing so, you can support what I do on Patreon for as little as $2 a month. You can request songs, bumping them up in line over on the Buy Me a Coffee, but you do not have to. I always take requests from every method, no matter what. Those just bump you up in the line. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Please come back tomorrow, because there will be something. I don't always know what, and you don't know what, but there's always something. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.